All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for March Comes In Like a Lion, Season 2, Episode 4. All right, Hina has come home distraught and crying, and things aren't well, and it's probably some kind of bullying because of the way they tied things in
with previous episode
and Ray's whole backstory stuff with regards to that, and how his response in a lot of ways shaped who he is today, and now he has the opportunity potentially to help, to be involved in some ways with someone who's at those younger, more formative years, like he was. Thankfully, though, she is a lot older than when he was a kid, and she's got also,
she's got people
right there for her. So, there's that, and I guess we'll see what happens. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, we're going to be starting the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Oh, Hina. Freaking Momo and the kittens, yeah. Yeah. Oh. Aww. Oh.
Okay.
All right.
Who hurt our girl? Get a shotgun.
Let me at him. Hold me back. I love it.
That imagery of all the bright colors are amazing, but the imagery of Ray running on water, it's just like, yes,
yeah,
and that image is just so adorable. Okay.
Yes, that's right. Part 2. Okay. In short. Gotcha. Okay. Oh. Oh, so clicks, maybe? Wow. Oh. 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 Yeah. Oh. Oh my god. She's like an older Momo. Look at her.
Yeah. No.
Right. Yeah, they ostracized her. Yep.
Ouch.
So then the girls retaliated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Little bitches. Wow. Wow. Ah.
Oh boy.
No. No. Oh, they threw her shoe in the... Yeah. Oh. Oh, jeez. Wow. Of course the teacher doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh my gosh. This just changed everything about a family's life. Just... Oh my god. And then... Wow. Oh!
Yeah!
Oh, crap. And now she's been...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. Jeez. Oh. No. Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay. Back like in season 1, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the same spot and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh. Oh.
Mm.
Oh, she's not stopping though.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. Ow. Ow. Scuffed a knee, maybe. Oh. Hmm. Oh. Oh, that's good. Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Ah. Hmm. Oh. Oh. That was. Oh, part 3.
Part 3.
Oh, here we go, Jacob.
Okay.
Here we go.
They could have just ended the episode right there, but no.
No. I just didn't know if they would continue this segment of story so linearly, or whether or not they would jump ahead of it. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. And this is from her perspective too.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Very cool, very cool. Wow. Look at the wood. The wood's reflecting the surfaces above it. What?
Yep.
What? This show, y'all. And there's the reflections of the trees overlaying in the windows. Oh, they're just showing off here. They're so small. Yeah, exactly. Oh. Oh. Yes! Good job, Ray!
All right.
The bush. Oh, the ladybug. Gotcha. Okay. Harmonia axyridis. Whoa. Heavenly Path insect. That's awesome. Oh. Oh, cool. Now from his perspective, yeah. Wow. Oh. Oh my gosh.
Come on, Ray. Just hold her.
Ah.
Aww.
Welcome home. Yeah. Oh. I will give you ancient wisdom.
First 2 knuckles. That's what you want to hit him with.
No. I'm actually really curious as to what he's going to say, because
yeah, same
I could
here.
see it being very, very wise.
Yeah! Awesome.
Whoa. Yeah. Whoa, good. Yeah. You're stronger than everyone else in your whole class.
Yeah.
Real courage.
It's true.
The one adult that should have done something didn't do anything about it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Sounds like he's coming out of Gurren Lagann. Like he just watched a bunch of... It's like... Oh. Oh my god, the animation of Momo. Like her head too big, you know, and like, oh.
The way Momo like doesn't get what's going on, but is like, what can I do? What can I do?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't think we've ever seen Akari cry before.
Oh, like, oh my god, this is so sweet.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Cool.
Grandpa, not... Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You already are.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Cool. Ay, ay, ay.
Ooh.
Going into the whole topic of bullying, it's something that... It's something that I think in a lot of ways, because of the way like we as a family were, you know, brought up and stuff, we didn't really deal with almost any of this comparatively to what most people probably had to deal with.
Yeah.
Or at least had to watch people deal with.
Right.
But I've seen I've seen more or less kind of the nasty cliquish stuff that can happen.
Sure. Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart because I think on some level it's easy to think about like what you would do in those situations and stuff, especially if you're in the midst of it and you're dealing with it yourself, or you're watching, someone close to you, deal with it and stuff. And you're like, oh, I absolutely would, throw my body and soul, in the ring for them. All right, everybody. Wow. It's stories like this. It's episodes of shows like this where we have, kids getting, having to deal with this crap, and you're just like, it just hurts.
Yeah.
It just hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking about this in the credits and the ED towards the end there, but like I don't think I've ever really been on the receiving end of this type of bullying, but I have been on the receiving end of the what I would call the gossip, click, slander type stuff, where it's basically the equivalent, but it's a little bit more passive aggressive and complex because it's like late high school adult kind of crap. It's something where it's like, oh,
right.
There's conversations happening basically around you, and then people that are more socially adept than you basically running circles around basically your inability to do much about like the situation because they have the opinions of the other people in their grip. Right, so you can't do anything to change. You can't do anything to change others' opinions about you. And while that's something that on some level teaches you that, hey, it doesn't matter what other people think about you, it's still is freaking stupid. It's just
and there's something to be said for how vicious little kids can be.
Absolutely.
Because the thing is that it's like, I feel like in a lot of ways it's something where because they haven't been around as long, they don't have as good of a handle on things that shouldn't be done, even if it, feels good to do it, kind of. Right. And because at that age, usually you don't really have a way to like fight back or at least like have something to fall back on in a lot of ways. Sure. I feel like because you're so young, right? Yeah. And not to say that it isn't bad, when, like in high school times and, things like that. But then at least you've been around for a little bit longer and stuff. Right. And it's
I just know that I'm an oldest sibling, so I haven't been on the receiving end of this, but I have seen the effects of this on my youngest siblings. And I remember at multiple times where it was kind of a situation where Ray was in, and it was like, okay, what do I do? Well, just be there. Just be there. You can't really go into their situation at their, place or whatever where this is happening. Right. And, as Ray was talking about, is very,
rip them
very
limb from limb.
Rip them limb from limb with, your...
Yep.
Your indignation, your justice, righteous indignation.
Yeah, no, paladin, divine smite. Yeah,
exactly. No. So
yeah, it's So what do you do? Because the thing is that it kind of is. It just ends up being a battle that the person who's in the thick of it has to go through, and I loved how the grandpa dealt with it because it wasn't something of like taking pity on Hina or being like, oh, I'm so sorry or whatever, because that's like that could have been good to say maybe, but I feel like something like that is so understood that it almost doesn't say anything, right?
Right.
And it can potentially feel crippling because because the people closest to you then aren't treating you as if you're in a position of strength here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Which even if it has the absolute best of intentions, that's also what happens when you're getting bullied. So, you know, so the fact that he said here, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. You did a good job. You did something that even most adults wouldn't do. Right?
Took a lot of courage.
It took a lot of courage. Like that's building her up, one, when she's weak, but also saying that you have all the tools you need, right?
It's positively reinforcing her because in the same way, actually, this is kind of twisted, but in the same way as the bullies are getting positive reinforcement about this thing they're doing because they're in their little clique group. This is the thing that's actually kind of funny about bullies, is that when they bully someone, and this is like almost always the case. I don't even need to be involved. This is just always the case. They need, unless they're like full blown, like they have some psycho issues, or they're like extremely like hurting inside from some kind of home life stuff.
Sure, if it's just something that they kind of do for the hell of it.
Right. Then they need some person to be in their group with them that positively reinforces their actions, because they get negative reinforcement from their actions due to the person receiving the bullying generally just not liking it. Right. You know, so it tells them, oh, they don't like this. And in order to immediately check that, oh, I don't care what they think, I need that person to be like, you know,
have the people where you do care what they think, and they say, and, you know, and they laugh, or they you know, go along with it,
like,
or like,
nice
oh, yeah, that was cool.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, because I feel like in a lot of ways, not at all to excuse the bullying, but I feel like the reason that little kids can be so especially vicious is because they don't really have a grid for what it is that they're doing.
Right.
It's just something that they're doing, and haha, it's fun, you know, whatever, right? And they don't think about how it might be impacting the person that they're doing it to.
Yeah, and that is, I would say, for the most part, but I would say actually the vicious thing about once they hit around junior high, now this is something that I've not seen personally, but through secondhand info, heard about how vicious, like in this case, like junior high, like middle school age young girls can be. There was basically a story of this type of shunning that happened, where basically the girls collaborated with everyone that they could in their you know, sphere of influence, to be basically where, you know, whenever they would have some kind of school events or anything like that, they would all just separate. They would just not look or interact with the person. Whenever they would move into a group or something like that, it was just like an unspoken rule that we all just and leave.
Yeah, like the whole ostracized thing, like that's
sickening.
It's like, it's a word that can just be thrown around, and it's like, oh, someone being ostracized at school. It's like, no. Think about this for a second. What it truly means to be ostracized, like back in the medieval days, being, you know, excommunicated from the church or whatever. That was like,
or because you were sick with like the plague or something.
That was the equivalent of a death sentence.
Yeah.
Now,
it's like, we can't help you, but we don't want you hurting anyone else, so get out of here.
Right, or we just really don't like you, you know.
Or you've done something that is unforgivable.
Exactly. Yeah. Pissed someone off with a lot of power, you know, and
that too.
And that's generally what, you know, albeit on a smaller scale, that's kind of what these things are, right?
Yep.
You know, even if you don't die because, you know, you are still being taken care of at home and whatnot, and, you know, you can still have a roof over your head and eat and whatnot.
Like they showed in the newspapers.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, because we are social creatures, even you know, the most introverted of all of us, right? We still need people.
Yeah,
and we still need people.
And more than that, I would say at the younger years, in some ways, we need, I would say, the social collective to at the very least have a neutral kind of feedback from us. One of the things that is very, I would say, very similar in animals is that on some level, animals can get by and by with just being left alone. You have basically, hold on. You have basically this thing of like, you don't need to aggressively show them love or something like that. But if you just show kind of general antagonism to your pet, basically, one that maybe you've spent like 5 years loving, but general antagonism being just like gruff tones of voice, showing your teeth a lot, kind of getting down and staring them in the eyes and stuff like that. Eventually the pet's going to be like, hey, this is a funny joke. Like, stop it. What is your deal? What is your deal? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And then they get aggressive. They get antagonistic because basically their whole, pattern of environment is one that they believe to be hostile. And and if you just show kind of just mild, just general passive hostility, and you just remove all semblance of any kind of even neutral stuff from someone's environment, it's killer. It's psychologically just wears you down.
There was a study that was done where they took a bunch of, and if I recall correctly, it was a bunch of monkeys, like baby monkeys, and they had two different groups. Basically, baby monkeys. They were all fed, but basically they were in an environment where they were by themselves, and there was a milk bottle or whatever that they could go to for nutrition and sustenance, right? But there was nothing else. They didn't have any parents with them or anything like that. But one of them with the milk bottle, there was like this soft like fur kind of a thing that they could sort of nuzzle up against, right? To sort of simulate the idea of as if they're getting fed by their mother. And the ones that didn't have just that fur thing, with the milk, a large portion of them, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was like a third, died. Like they just died. They had all the nutrition, they had everything they needed to survive from a physical sense, right? But a bunch of them died, right? Right. Whereas the ones that just had that fur thing, they would nuzzle up against it and, they did fine. Love is all you need. It's not all you need, but you need it, right? You can't escape that fact. And,
Yeah, when you have someone that basically is denied a specific need in terms of having I would say, at the very least, the social acceptance of your peers. One of the things that it does is, unfortunately, especially in younger kids, because they're way more impressionable, but also that your environment is stronger than your willpower, you will essentially succumb and identify with your environment in some way.
Sure.
And this is true of a positive environment too, by the way.
Yeah.
This is true of a positive environment. I can tell you basically what you believe about yourself based on the environment you spend the most time in. Like, it's just generally...
Right, there's a reason those sayings exist.
It's a generally more or less accurate thing. And while I would say that that's something that, has definite exceptions out there, this is an overwhelmingly, I would say, a more influential thing the younger you are, and I would say also the the more you're in this type of a situation. Like if you have a really positive school environment where you have a teacher that at the very least listens to you and takes you seriously, you have at least a friend, a companion in this little stressful environment that is school. And everywhere across the world, school is handled slightly differently with all kinds of little variations and stuff like that. But one of the things that's for some reason I would say almost universally a thing in most of the environments I've talked with people about who have been involved in schools and stuff, even outside the country, is that school life at least in the growing up, I would say teenage years of school life, and even a little bit younger than that, is like the hardest part of like everyone's life. One, I think it's because also, like you were saying, these kids just don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They just have no idea. But I think it's also because there are all these environmental factors that basically weigh upon and pressure kids, and they don't have basically the perfect methods of how to handle these types of things. So everyone acts differently in regards to that. Yep. And I like that they even mentioned that here.
The exams and the
exams, this looming anxiety and pressure. Yep. Uh-huh. But that doesn't excuse the actual behavior, because
of course not.
One of the things that at least I've heard in Japan specifically is that teachers are notoriously bad with how they handle bullying. Yeah. Because sometimes they even participate in the bullying.
Sure.
Like they're actually enforcing and encouraging it.
Right.
And I don't know if that's because of certain cultural things that exist outside of the school, or they're things that exist because of the way the schools are handled in Japan.
Right. But like the grades being public or things like that.
Yeah, or whatever. But one of the things that you have a problem in this area is when you're listing as your country or your society or whatever massive suicide rates in these like schools and stuff, and you don't really know why that is. I'll tell you, at the very least, a lot of it is this social negative reinforced pressuring, call it bullying or whatever, from their peers. Right. And when I left like school, like kind of in general and stuff like that, and was moving on into higher education, I did this thing where you basically get put into a college of sorts, like a community college. And if you test at a certain level, your courses are free. You just have to pay for books. And one of the things that surprised me in this environment was, just because I was on average about a year or two younger than the youngest average student there, there was this general kind of like you're different, you're an other. But thankfully most of the people there had already gone through probably their own got bullied phase in high school or something like that, so they're not
kind of know better.
They're not like looking to make some big deal about it to you. They, if anything, they've got their own lives and crap to deal with,
better things to do with their time, and they've already sort of established who they are, so they don't need to put someone else down. Well, somewhat. So so they don't feel the need to put someone else down in order to boost themselves up as much, maybe, as during the younger years.
I just can't imagine, given how fragile I was growing up around Hina's age, if I was in public school, if I was put into that environment and asked either to be Chiho and have to deal with it and figure it out, or to be Hina and ask to do something about it.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think? Like, because Hina's how old? 13.
Something like that, yeah.
14.
I think she's 13.
Yeah, she's either 13 or 14.
Yeah. I don't know, because the thing is that there's all the things that we would like to think.
Yep.
We would do if we're in those sorts of situations. The thing is that I'll bet everyone thinks that. Not every but look at the numbers. Like the whole thing that was happening there of Hina being the only person that did something about it. That's pretty realistic, right? I think I would have probably stood up, if nothing else, just for the fact that I had kind of socially outcast myself as a kid, I was like, fine, if these,
you on some level were in these.
They can't ostracize you if you ostracize yourself. you know, like,
yeah, on some level, you look at Hina, and as a person, her needs are one that is way more social than I would say both of our needs are. In some ways, that's something that might have been because we didn't go to public school and stuff like that. We didn't go to private school even, or any kind of institutionalized school thing. We did do a school type environment and stuff. And I remember, actually, now that I think about it, I remember one time where I was in that environment, and there was someone who was like, my thing was, I never saw really bullying in the direct sense, but I saw basically the gossip thing being the like the nastier form of it. And so my thing was that you don't talk, I don't even want to hear someone else's name in a not wholly positive way. Even if it's just neutral, just a casual remark, I'd be like, they're not here. Go tell them that.
Right, exactly. Gossip is one of those things that I have, like, bullying and gossip. I kind of hold in the same breath, but at least the bullies have the courage to do it to the person's face. You know, like because because the thing is that if they're actively bullying them like that, then you punch them right in the mouth, right?
Yeah, gossips are basically.
But gossip, you can't really punch cowards. A gossip in the mouth. Right,
because most of the time you don't even know that they're doing it.
Right. So the most that you can do is, like, when you hear someone, gossiping, just being like,
yeah,
why are you doing that?
Right. My thing was when I was in these environments and stuff, and I did some schooling, some higher schooling and stuff in California as well. My thing was, I had a rule that if you were talking with me in the room and you started talking even in the slightest bit of just kind of general remarks, and you weren't like you were just talking about someone while they weren't there, and it wasn't about like lifting them up and basically, talking really positively about them, I'd basically just confront you right in public with the whole thing there and say, like, all right, you have to stop, like, at the very least, or I'm going to go bring them into this whole thing here so you can tell them yourself. And even if it was something where it was like they weren't talking negative about the person, it was just like, oh, did you see what the other person did? That was kind of huh? Like, what do you think about that? Like, basically trying to basically do the thing of like
because then that's even worse, because then
on some level
it's lacking the courage to even start gossiping without first getting basically the approval of the other person.
And that was so common, I would say, right around that age of 18 to 20 as well. But at the younger years, what I found was people would do the thing of basically just like just talking crap about someone that's not there. And one time, because remember, we had the foster siblings.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
There was kind of a thing of just like, I don't know how you kind of deal with that, Caleb. And I was just like, what? And they were just like, yeah, it must be like really, like, I don't even remember the verbiage of what they said. I just remember that in some ways I kind of flew off the handle because I kind of Hina'd it, and someone said something kind of just calloused about that, and all my frustration, probably with other things, this poor person just got the brunt of it. And the thing is, I unfortunately have kind of painted myself in a little bit better light than I should have, because I probably should have been a little bit more calm about it. But I basically just told them off, and our two mutual friends were there, and they just kind of sat there and did nothing. And then the guy got actually kind of frustrated to the point of where he rushed me, and I did the whole sidestep trip, slam them into the ground kind of thing. And basically
did it go into like a cutscene as like slow bullet mode?
Well, no, but the thing was Jacob, like, you and I have had, a little experience that. So you knew I could do something like that. But the thing that was dumb about it was that, like, instead of kind of trying to resolve the situation after that, I basically just did that, and the person just got really, like, kind of mad, and then I just ran away.
Right, because
I just ran away instead of trying to. Instead of trying to basically, at the very least, talk to them after that. And it was funny because then, unfortunately, I didn't really talk to them for like the rest of like ever again. Yeah. So it was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are certainly, better ways to resolve things than with, physical action.
Or even in some ways just barrage, machine gun yelling into their face.
Oh, yeah, right. Because, what
your raw feelings,
Right. But there are cases.
There are cases where, Hina might...
where, yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad with how they handled this, because here's the thing. With how Hina handled this, not only did it feel like, justified and righteous of you defend your friend and all that, right?
Oh, okay.
But it was also something of, because of the kind of person that Hina is, it felt real. It didn't feel just like for instance, if you had just like a general Determinator shonen protagonist that's just like, how dare you do this, and they immediately fight back. It's like, that doesn't seem like much of a struggle, because it's like, well, of course they're gonna do that, right?
Okay.
It's this felt a lot more like Sam fighting Shelob in Lord of the Rings, where even if Shelob as an enemy, right, would not be the same kind of enemy for, like, Aragorn or Gandalf, right? They would laugh at Shelob, right? The fact that it's Sam, the fact that it's, it's this halfling, right? And he has to, because he has to protect Frodo and everything.
I got you.
It means so much more. And the way they did... The way they handled this with Hina not being the one that was immediately bullied, but then eventually she ended up getting bullied and just wondering whether she did the right thing, right? Because she didn't get any positive reinforcement from anyone else.
At the school.
Right,
Nope.
Yeah.
And maybe she got negative reinforcement.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not just from her classmates, but also probably from the
teacher, I would say, the
teacher for sure,
because they don't know the context. They just see a girl attacking another girl.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then there's also the teacher that was like, "Oh, why are you assuming bullying? That's not a very positive, way of thinking." It's like, "Oh man.
See, that's the thing. I'm actually not as pissed at the bullies as I am at the
teacher. Right? Yeah, exactly. Because with the bullies, maybe
failed this city.
Exactly. With the bullies, maybe it's just something where they need to actually get burned by doing it. Right. Because they're just getting all this positive reinforcement of, haha, yeah, my friends think it's fun. Yeah, we'll do this. They
get one big negative reinforcement on that. Suddenly they're, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. They have Hina bite their fingers, or kick them, or punch them, or whatever. Right. And then maybe. Even if they don't change, they'll just be like, they'll question, maybe,
right?
Hopefully. Whereas with the teachers, it's like,
yeah. The deep seated vitriol is real.
Yep. It's one of those things where it's like, it really is a good thing that, like, anime superpowers and things like that don't actually exist, because if you think about it, because if you think about it, if something like that did exist, yes, you would have to deal with the villains and all that stuff, but then you'd have to deal with suddenly the reverse situation where you'd see these injustices like this and you would want to retaliate with, maximum overdrive, right? Which,
oh my gosh,
at that point would not be thing. So
wow.
Yeah.
That was so sudden and random. I know. That was awesome, Jacob.
But because that's how you feel in the moment when there's that injustice and that
you
rage
feel like
against
Ray
it.
did.
Exactly.
And let's talk a little bit about the family, I would say, of the Kawamotos. So here's something that I think is really important here that will actually spin this into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Kawamotos as a family are going to get tighter together because of the vulnerability surrounding the situation.
Absolutely.
But did you notice how, because Hina started crying, Momo just Momo, the most precious thing that we almost protect, just started. I know. And I love that little part where she's sitting down. She starts like, and then she starts to get up, and she's like wobbling around because her head's too big, because she's a kid, little toddler. Yeah. And she's like, what is happening?
Right. And it's not just the crying, right? It's not just the crying, but it's the crying and the confused crying, like the, what's going on?
Now, here's the thing I think that's very important here, is that the Kawamotos have experienced loss. They have experienced really painful loss. The one who's probably shouldering and or concealing the most pain is Akari.
Yep.
And if we have all these situations where Hina and Momo basically cascade things into this torrent of emotions.
Yep.
Akari, just because she's an empathic human being on even the slightest level, is going to feel that pain. I loved how they showed Ray's gripping his heart, his whole body
and his body's convulsing, and
he's just like, the pain racked me, and I love that. But the thing is that with the Kawamotos and them dealing with this pain and processing it and stuff, I feel like I don't know if this, basically just disconnected events and things will instigate the emotional vulnerability settings like this, where then the Kawamotos can come closer together and also talk about feelings a little bit more freely, because they then realize that if we can handle this together, we can handle more difficult things, more, I would say, more mature things, in just that the idea of like because
there were a few things that happened this episode that were the building blocks of that eventually happening.
Right.
One, the fact that Akari had to start wiping away those tears, right? Because even though she puts on the bold face and conceal, don't feel, and whatnot, and be the strong one. Yep. It's something that she needs to deal with too. So the fact that was there, that was wonderful. That was great.
Totally.
Also, Ray. There were many times this episode where it was kind of like Freudian slips, basically, on the part of Ray, where he talks about, him and Hina went home. Grandpa's words, right? It wasn't their grandpa's words. It was grandpa's words, right? Things like that, where it basically shows that even though Ray doesn't know what to do, even though he's already helping and doesn't realize just how much what he's doing is helping, he feels like he needs to help more because these people are his family, right? That is a thing that is being cemented in his mind, and he's accepting it because he has to. How can he not? These people are hurting, right? And even if it's something where he might kind of keep them at a distance or at arm's length, before, he can't do that anymore. The whole thing of okay, when Ray and Hina were outside and Hina was just bawling, I wanted Ray to just give her a big hug, but that's not the kind of person that he is. But still,
right.
I can't remember whether she reached out for him or no. He held out his hand. He held
out his hand to her.
Yeah, and that whole scene. My god.
Because what's so powerful about that is we show the flashback, which is, of course, it's a metaphorical event.
Right. It's not literally really there,
but it's something where if you think about the moments in the past where Hina would reach out her hand to call him, to invite him over to do specific things, to basically go on these little trips and things. She's been his lifesaver. She's been pulling and tugging and doing everything that she can to be that source of positivity in his life, and he doesn't really make it easy for her.
Nope,
he doesn't. In the first season, he's constantly pushing away,
like in the same way that Akari doesn't make it easy. And this is the wonderful coming full circle with what Hayashida said in season 1. If you don't ask people for help with your own problems, they won't ask you for help with theirs. Right. And even though Ray hasn't really asked for help as much, right?
Not as much. No.
This year of him basically realizing that the things that the way that Hina is going through this, right, and is being vulnerable with him, he is basically telling her thank you for doing that. Well, he did tell her literally thank you. Yeah. Because of how much that helps him, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, sometimes the best way to, what's the line from my
Hiro quote?
Yeah.
Sometimes the best way to solve your own problems is to help someone else solve theirs.
Exactly. And he just told Hina, this is helping me like you wouldn't believe, right? Which is what Hina always wanted to do.
But he also made a promise of saying that I'll always be with you.
Yep.
Now, one of the things I think that's really special about this whole thing of, you said, like, asking for help, is that Hina came back. She was in a state.
Yeah.
She was in a state. She couldn't control herself. Mm-hmm. But there is a reason, I believe, because she's been brought up in an environment where people are nearby and they're close and they love each other and stuff. This is a separate thing from Rei, is that Hina didn't go straight to the water walkway to sit down alone and cry. Hina walked home. Mm-hmm. And the first thing she said, well, actually, I think this is important, is that there's a point where she's outside the door and she's not really made up her mind about whether or not she's going to come in yet. I think she was making up her mind about whether or not she was going to run away. But the pain was so much that it pushed her to basically ask for help. By when she walks through the door, she's completely vulnerable. She breaks down crying, or she probably was crying for a little bit there, but she lets it all out. She sees Akari and Rei, so she's like, sis, Rei. And it's basically just help. Help. And they're immediately, boom, they're there.
Akari just runs up and hugs her. And
Yep. Just swift. And this is something that's important, I would say, for Rei to see in action.
Yes.
It's not just that he needs to be there to help. It's that he needs to see this is what happens, and specifically almost exactly with the Kawamotos. That if he ever showed up at the door with that look on his face,
they would
broken down,
right there,
boom, there, instantly with him, helping him, being there and just consoling. Like they wouldn't try to sit back and maybe think about the best way in which they can do something there, which is, I would say, just unfortunately, this is how Rei's wired because of the way he grew up and because he's been alone and because he is not as in touch with his emotions. But if he sees this pattern going through multiple times, and on some level it being something that bolsters Hina on any level, Rei is going to be that much more free internally to take these risky steps with the Kawamotos and ask for help.
Like the whole thing that he did with taking Hina to the library. Right?
That was probably his mind thinking like...
Right. He's like, this is maybe something I can do, right?
Yeah, because he remembers her talking about the sweets.
Exactly. Yep. And he didn't seem to think that was doing much. He's just like, this is something. Like it's not much, but at least it's something, right?
Yeah.
But it's those no big deal things that matter the most, right? And I'll tell you, like the just being with somebody when they're going through something, right? That silence of knowing that they're there, especially in Hina's situation. Like in Hina's situation, doubled, but in anything, right? That's huge.
It's really huge.
And the fact that hopefully Rei is seeing how that kind of thing is helping.
I don't think he has fully seen it yet.
Yeah, he hasn't fully seen it, but the thing is that he will eventually,
definitely.
Right? And that will be that extra positive reinforcement to continue doing what he's been doing and to know that it's okay. Because the thing is that I don't like when Hina was crying. I felt like the reason that he wasn't doing something was not just because he didn't know what to do, but there was this part of him that felt like, is it okay? Right? Because since he's been holding the whole idea of them being family at a distance, then he kind of treats them kind of as if they're just sort of other acquaintances,
sometimes,
And
that brings into the thing you're saying of him slipping out and saying things like, grandpa, not your grandpa.
Right.
So do you think that potentially then, because of all that, the reason why the show, or at least the original material probably as well, had them shifting internal perspectives between Rei and Hina when they were going through those two parts was because once we shifted to Hina's perspective, we showed what Rei was doing, and we saw how much Hina valued it and how important it was to her, because we had now her internal thoughts and perspective on that. So basically they were kind of telling us, just in case we didn't know yet, because we were only looking at things through Rei's perspective, that everything Rei has been doing is really helping. And I almost think like we can like cast this actually into the future here. Y'all, like, I don't know how long the manga material like goes and stuff, but like they've basically just set up the thing for where Hina's going to be like you know, an adult at some point, like in the story. And I can see her being like, Rei, like, do you remember when you sat me down in the library? Because the way she detailed exactly what he was doing and what they were doing and that thing there, it was almost like she was capturing this moment with like a mind's eye photography kind of thing. It's like snapshot.
Because with a visual medium like this, and same thing with like in a book, or, you know, heck, D&D or something, when you describe things, that draws attention to it, that draws focus to it. And when you're telling a story through a character's perspective, then anytime you describe things, that means that is what they are basically, that is what they're noticing, that's what they're focusing on, right? And here, the way they focused on so many little things, you know, even with the whole thing of Rei reaching his hand out, or in the library when she's looking at the things that he's reading and everything like that. That is huge. Like that,
and we don't usually do that in this show. Like, they don't really go around to, like, Akari's perspective.
Yeah, they don't. Right, like, exactly. Like, so the fact that they did that here, even more so, you know, just shows that this is a moment that Hina is not going to forget. Right,
and usually it being something that is, you know, our main character, Rei's, you know, perspective on this, you know, we'll get like Shimada internal perspective, like back in season 1 a little bit, but it's primarily a first person Rei kind of setup here.
And even then, when they did the Shimada stuff, that was not that was, I mean, in some ways it was for Shimada's characterization. In a lot of ways it was, but a lot of it was also for the shogi itself.
Sure.
Which, you know, is something that, while it is important to Shimada, it's something that's removed from him as a person, right?
That makes sense.
Whereas this is, we're shifting to Hina's perspective in, you know, the emotional turbulence of this moment.
Yeah. And if they continue with an arc essentially built around Hina dealing with this whole thing, there's a lot of cool things we can get with the Kawamotos and Rei that I've been waiting for a long time.
Like, there's a part of me that doesn't like ongoing drama shows and stories and stuff, because I feel like, well, how are they gonna make progress? Like, where's the ending, you know, and all that stuff, right? Because, you know, you don't want it to feel like it's just spinning in circles. But
totally.
But the way they do this with the subtlety of the character development and making it just feel like real people going through life, it's absolutely huge.
It's really huge. Yeah. So this episode, what a doozy. Yeah. In some ways, it just took me by surprise. But
just like Momo was taken by surprise.
Yeah, because I didn't know how in depth they were going to go into it. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and staying all the way to the end of this discussion. So if you want to see the next episode's reaction discussion right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there, and any level support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us about stories, about March Comes In Like a Lion, of course, non-spoilery, or just anime in general or whatever. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.